Welcome, everyone. I'm Chris McKean.
And I'm Andy Kiner.
Here, we're all about cross country racing, and usually it starts with 10 seconds.
But not in Iowa. In Iowa, it starts with hands-on helmets.
Hands-on helmets and prepare for the mud, right? This race.
It's better than the dust.
Oh, what a week. It's been a short week. It feels like we lost a day somewhere.
Couldn't agree with you anymore, man.
I mean, it's I've been scrambling results, working on some other stuff behind the scenes, trying to get series points updated. I mean, I have no time. It's just been a little short this week.
Well, actually, You're right. We did lose a day. We lost Sunday.
Yeah, we did. My normal work day here at home. So.
Yeah. Yep. Boy, what a weekend though, huh?
It was a different weekend. I mean, it was some good with some bad, right? Unfortunately, we had to make some tough decisions that we felt that was best for everyone, right?
Yeah, we did. And I still think it was the right decision based off the weather on Sunday, But even more than that, Chris, I thought was cool was seeing all the kids out there, seeing some of the conversations afterwards online and stuff, just pretty cool when something like that, you think it's bad and ends up some really good stuff came out of it,
Yeah, I mean, there was some good stuff. We kind of scrambled a little bit on Saturday, but we got to go do some functions. We can go ahead and let's go ahead and bring Paul on. We asked Paul to come in and join us. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
You have to speak up a little bit.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, what a weekend, huh?
What weekend?
Well, yeah, it was pretty well going. I'll be honest with you. I sat out there on the side-by-side track with one of our main track workers, old Joe, and he was beat. He was wore down. He was thinking about staying, so I stayed over on Sunday night. So yeah, I didn't come home till Monday. Yeah, kind of a 4-day weekend kind of thing,
I so badly wanted to pull over and just stay with you guys.
Oh.
I know you did.
Nothing going on. You guys sitting back in the chairs and
yep.
God, that looked fun just to relax up there.
Yep. It was nice to relax for a change. We didn't really have a lot of that going on over the weekend.
Boy, just open that up, Chris. That's we got there on Thursday, and obviously a little late getting there. Had some stuff going on, and one of those things where the place like the back of your hand, so you're good to go, and then the dang weather hits, and we were kind of prepared for it a little bit. I mean, we knew it was coming. We knew, Friday, the work that we did Thursday and Friday was, just hoping it stayed type thing, but we knew we were going to get some rain, but I don't think any of us dreamed that we would be getting what we did on Saturday morning, Paul.
No. I was kind of alerted to it coming in there about 2:35 in the morning. I got a dog that's very scared of lightning and thunderstorms, and it's not getting better as he gets older. And with his face huffing and puffing and his body trembling over top of me from about 2:30 till shortly after you had called me about 5:45 in the morning. We started a discussion of the race and what we were going to try to do and what was going to go. We're going to try to make happen. Yeah, I was a little tired. And we knew it's not our first time discussing stuff while we're hearing the rain in the middle of the night or early morning. But yeah, so we decided to go ahead and evaluate the track. That was our plan, to see what we could do, what we could salvage, what we could make work, and it was our intentions to try to have the race on Saturday. I mean, that was the original plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what everybody was there. That's everybody scheduled their schedule accordingly. All of our racers and families and so forth. I guess I'll run with this a little bit. We went out and checked it out. The big thing that we were looking at the time was the mostly was a 70-90, the big kids track. That was kind of my sole purpose or focus at the time, and the guys that were out there with me. It was going to be tight, but maybe we could have got it done, but we were going to have to cut their track in half, and their lap times would have been probably six or less than half of what they were. I don't know what their times were, but it was just one of those scenarios. Yeah.
Having said that, Paul, the reason that we would have had the troubles with them, was it the actual track or was it the hills?
It was two main hills. One we switched sides. I think of Fort Dodge as basically being kind of cut down the middle. You've got the east side and the west side, and going down to the east side, you got to go down a hill and up a hill to do that side. The west side, we could have kept them on that in the old area over there. But then you got to shoot them across a stock car track or something. And it just would have been wicked fast. Going down those hills for safety was a big thing.
Sorry to interrupt you, but just to clarify too, so people know, on Thursday, I think it was, we had already decided to cut them out of Bathtub Hill.
Correct. So, we had already cut off a big chunk of their track just for. There was no way we were going to let them. It was too wet already on Thursday to fix the hill that would come off of Bathtub Hill. Safely get them down that pond dam, and there's no way we're going to let them down that. We have, I don't know, for the last 5 years or plus, probably longer than that actually. They've run that hill and done just fine. I think we've even had 50s on that hill. But we don't. Yeah, the bottom of the hill wasn't in good shape. There's no way we could have got up to fix the top to make it safe for the kids.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up, Paul, is you mentioned cutting the track in half. You're actually talking about cutting that track in half after we've already cut a big section out earlier on Thursday or Friday. So, that's – and the reason I throw that in there is I know you're doing a good job explaining it, but a lot of people I only had a couple people that was probably, I guess you'd call, upset, and I get it, wanted driven, long ways and stuff, and it obviously messed with schedules and stuff, but it's just important for them to actually know the whole story on how we actually do it. It's just a thing to be transparent and see it. But so when you said that, you started talking there, you're cutting the track in half. You've already taken a third of the track out.
Correct.
So, go ahead, though. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's so at that point, we kind of regrouped and we all met up top and discussed what was going on and what we thought, and kind of all voted our say and stuff on things. And I'll be honest with you, at that point, I wanted to I kind of wanted to try to run her Saturday. I just, something in my head said we could probably pull this off. It was the right call not to, because our focus was on the kids track. Little did we know until later on, we went out to redo arrows, that big part of the adult track was already underwater down by the river. And that would have been a whole nother problem. We were kind of shorthanded on some of our main track crew there for a little while there, and I don't know, it's time to spin off there a little bit, but we had some great people that helped us out and stepped up on Friday and Saturday to help us get this pulled off. Friday, because we were short, one main guy, having Brad gone on Friday, set us back a long ways. But we had some other people that stepped up. It was like Dylan and Cole and Andrew stepped up and helped us get the track put together on Friday. And then on Saturday, after we decided to postpone it till Sunday, which none of us wanted to do, we knew it affected people, but majority of people, or there was a lot of people already there, and that was part of the big decision. So they don't have to go through the expense and time thing of getting back to the track.
Yep.
Then on Saturday, we had the bunch of people that helped out with the draining the mud holes, and what a difference that made. It was I was really surprised going around there on Sunday how those mud holes were gone. A lot of them were just gone. It was fantastic. And I want to throw out to Jerry first of all on that, and just lack of getting everybody's name. I know Matt and the I believe number 71 of the utility crew. Their whole group they went to town, got shovels, and helped us out draining there. And I know there was other people. I'm missing out on some other people here, and I'm sorry for forgetting names and things like that. But I just wanted to make sure that they got a little acknowledgement for all the work they had done, and
It
got
wasn't
that track to something there. Go on.
It wasn't the Hambleys helped out.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jerry. Oh my God, I'm slaughtering his name.
Betting.
Betting and his son. That man, they
Yep.
were out there Saturday most of the afternoon trying to fix the track and doing what they did. We had a lot of help Saturday, and I think people want to lend a hand, make sure that we can get the event to go off on like we could on Sunday. But,
Well, and we already had some other stuff going on with some behind the scenes stuff with Chris and Kim and Tina and everybody coming up there early, and Tracy, to fill in for some situation that we had going. So, yeah, I mean, we needed all hands on, or, everybody on there. And I thought everybody did a phenomenal job. It was for what we were dealt, and I'm talking behind the scenes, not necessarily from a racer's perspective, but I felt super blessed that the way that the whole thing came together, and it was pretty cool, really.
yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed. I noticed you guys. I know you both noticed this, but Saturday night, afterwards and stuff, you see all the stuff going out there on social media about. I remember I had one. I think I sent you, Chris. I'd seen something from the Hambleys talking about their kids. Said it was their favorite track because they wouldn't forget it because they got to play with the kids all day long, and stuff. And that's something that we haven't gotten to do since we went to Saturdays, and it was fun. I mean, we probably let a few things go that probably should have maybe stopped a little bit on Saturday night, but
a little sooner.
Yeah, but man, the kids really didn't do anything wrong. They were just having fun, and I think everybody kept it in check. And I was pretty proud of everybody, the way everybody really handled the situation. So we had some people. I know Chris was at the Acres. Shelby had said she had to go home and wasn't going to be there on Sunday. She couldn't be there, and when we found out she could let her Lucas race it, she's like, nope, I'm coming back. She showed up. She was too scared to let him race, so she ended up making it back on Sunday. And I know there's a lot of people that really at the very beginning didn't think they'd be able to make it back, and I think I know we lost some, don't get me wrong. I'm going to say probably lost 10, 15 people roughly, but I also know that we gained some that couldn't be there on Saturday and could be there on Sunday. So it's just a really unique situation, and I was proud of everybody, starting with every one of our workers and the people that volunteered and the racers themselves, and just the way how everything was handled. So.
Yeah, no, you kind of like mentioned a little bit on Saturday. We kind of were scrambling. We had RJ Performance kind of step up big Saturday.
Absolutely.
once they got the word that the race was postponed, what was it? Brainstorming what they could do, how they could help out, and they come up with the open house idea on Saturday. So I was one of the ones that were fortunate enough to go over and stop by and delivered some stuff to the shop. Got to check out things and see some of our racers there. But I put up a little ticker at the bottom in case those who haven't heard or haven't seen it, those who won the $50 gift cards, and then I threw in the little Razor RC card that looks like Kel George owes me $1 or $2 for. So it was good.
Luck on that.
And go ahead.
I was really glad, Chris, that you could make it in there. I know you and Kim, and I was just really glad, somebody could. I know the track crew is still working, but I was glad the scoring crew could at least go in town and take a break. Isn't that right, Paul?
Yeah, I didn't show up. I don't know. I guess I was out on the track. I just thought of someone else before I forget here on our Friday. We got a future track worker, so I kind of forgot about Jackson. I want to throw out Jackson Carroll for helping us out. High regards to the guy he was working with, to him. So, yeah, I just didn't want to forget him. That shows you. Some of these guys, it's great to have some racers out there. They got a pretty good feel of what's going on, and let them see a little behind the scenes, and maybe encourage them to come out and help us again sometime. We appreciate having them. They were fun to have. Yeah. So Cale, you drew Cale's name, huh?
I didn't do any of the drawing. That those at the dealership did all the drawing. I just wanted something a little extra. We have these RC cars floating around the house here that I think I have 4 more. So I'm going to bring one to each race, and we'll figure out how to get rid of them. Something just thought to especially the little kids might enjoy them. So we'll see what we can do. If
I'd take my guess, Chris, first of all, thank you for doing that. But I would almost bet you, even though Cale won his first race in the adult session Saturday, I'll still bet you that he took that RC car for show and tell at school.
He actually thought it was a real one. So,
no, he was riding good. He deserved that win. I seen him out there some, so it was neat to see him.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of somebody that was riding good, we got a couple guests on the show today. Pretty new to the series. We can go ahead and bring on Gage first. Kind of give his perspective of what a muddy race in today's world compared to maybe some of others that can relate to a Brooks or even an old Montezuma race.
Not even close. Not even close. This was a wet race compared to a mud race back then.
Yeah, this one was different. Yeah.
So we lost Paul.
No.
Yeah, kicked me out.
Hey, you look good, Paul.
You do look good.
I know it. Thank you. I did get the hair trimmed a little
Welcome,
bit.
Gage.
All right, thanks for having me on.
So, Gage, you are young C, correct?
I'm first year.
First year.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Andy later is young C. That's right. So, first year in a race like this. What do you think of that, Paul?
Yeah, that goes back a few years for me, but yeah. Tell us a little bit about it. Well, tell us about. Did you do Trenton then?
Yes, I did Trenton.
Okay, and now you're on your second race here. Tell us what you think.
I mean, it's obviously a ton of fun. That last track, I actually really enjoyed it, and I don't know, other people don't like the mud and the rougher stuff so much, but I'm from Dubuque, where we ride along the Mississippi Valley, and there ain't a smooth trail around here. So that's the stuff that I like.
You know, actually, I heard.
How do you get into this? What kind of, how did you end up with us? Tell us just a little backstory.
So, I mean, I rode four-wheelers a lot of my life. I raced BMX when I was younger, then got out of high school, could afford to buy all my parts and everything, and, started getting into riding a lot. And then came across your guys' series, saw that you guys were doing the State Fair short course last summer. And then I went, showed up to that, did that. I won my moto for C in that, and then got jammed up and finished 7th. And then after that, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this racing thing. I like riding woods, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
Very cool. Do you have anybody down there that you kind of hang with, or comes to races with you or anything?
Yeah, one of my good friends, Trey Avenarius, he actually raced the first one with me. It was kind of cool because he had a Banshee too, so it was both Banshees lined up next to each other at the line.
I remember that. Yep. Huh. Very cool. So how'd you do on the start with that Banshee?
This last one I was first into the woods, second into the first turn. I probably would have did better, but my clutch was out of adjustment, so it was slipping real hard, and I kind of got lucky that there was a jam up pretty close to when we got in the woods, so I actually had a little bit of time to adjust it out, so I didn't completely burn it up. But yeah, it really loves the straightaways, I can tell you that much.
Do you have any questions on the hole shot or anything, since we got the 2-time hole shot king right here? You can feel free to.
You heard that side story real quick. Paul wants to be inducted to the Hole Shot Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Gage, I'll be honest with you, is I've gotten 4 hole shots in 20 years, and 2 of them have come this year. So it's not like there's no king here. And I was just kind of having some fun with it. So I'm probably going to be last off the line from here to eternity, which is where I was normally at. You don't have to get off the hole shot. You don't win the race in the first second, but you can lose it in the first few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. So,
So running a Banshee out there, I mean, that's wild, especially in the kind of muddy race. How did didn't overheat too bad for you, or any problems that way? Did you have it taped off, or any preemptive kind of stuff?
Yeah, I had my air box taped off so no water could get in there. I actually went to Menards the week before the race and bought screen door replacement mesh and taped that in front of my radiator, which I wish I would have put 2 sheets on there so we could rip one off, because towards the end of the race there, she was starting to overheat a little bit, but all I wanted to do was finish it. So I was making sure that thing was getting to the line whether it wanted to or not.
Right.
That's pretty cool, being a first-year racer and already thinking about that stuff.
Andy had a question.
That's definitely planning it out. So, no, that was incredible. Very cool. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, so she pulled the hills just fine. Did you ever get any bottlenecks or any? If you had to give a new first racer a little advice about the race you just did, what would you say to tell him or her?
Don't be afraid of the mud. I mean, I was definitely one who just dumped the clutch and held on for dear life in some of those mud holes. But between that and kind of just being aware where you are a lot of the time, especially when you get up to bottlenecks and stuff, trying to work your way around them, or picking the best line, like just awareness in general, I feel like is a huge key. Because if you don't have that, I mean, you can be really skilled and end up in all the wrong spots.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that was the real key to that race was, you know, part of it starts off with a little bit of luck. I had a good race, and luck had a little bit to do with it, but you get the yes, you said it, the heads up and the awareness ahead when you're coming up to a bottleneck to not look right down in front of you. I think you really nailed it right there. That was probably the key to my success too. Looking ahead and knowing every time well, there was probably 5-6 troubled areas in the track, and every time you come around, you just got to get your head up and look a little bit ahead. And some of it's luck that, you know, where you might have been looking kind of collapses on you because somebody's rolling back in front of you or something. But congratulations on your success there.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an interesting one. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's we see guys and I'm having fun with some of them right now, Paul, but you know, we call them fair weather racers that stay home when it's even a forecast. We got some people that start calling it. We've seen it this race. You know, it can be on Tuesday and they're, oh, it's going to be a mutter. It's going to be this. If we had raced actually on Friday, I think Paul can contest to this. It would have been the absolute best race we've ever had at Fort Dodge, the perfect conditions. And then, of course, that hits. But when we have people put out there, you know, it's going to be a mutter and stuff, then you get the fair weather racers that say, oh, I'm not going because it's going to be mud. And by being there and doing what you did, Gage, makes you, I mean, it's unbelievable what it does to your not just your experience, but your confidence, you know, and overcoming a lot of that stuff, like you say. And I'm impressed being the first year. I know you've got a lot of racing or riding experience, but you've laid some stuff out there that typically a guy that's 3-4 years into it is already looking ahead, like what you're talking and doing good. So I think this race was probably a huge deal for you moving forward and overcoming it like you did.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I came into the first round, you know, literally just planning on finishing. And then we get into the woods, the guy in front of me clipped a tree, you know, got caught up. And then I ended up in first. And I was not really prepared or didn't know how to race when you're leading. Gave that away for a little bit, but got it back for the end of the first lap. And then I just rode like I'd normally ride trails the rest of the time. And, you know, and then after that, I was like, well, I don't know if that was just, you know, first time luck or whatever. So I was really like focusing on this one. I was like, whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it to, you know, make sure I'm still even, you know, competing. And then same thing happened. I got into the woods first and then I just let the race kind of come to me.
So after 2 races now, Gage, tell me not just a certain part of the track, but what makes that day like the best for you? What's your favorite part of the day? Would it be like the straights, the woods, the drag racing and the opens, just a friendship? You know, what if in 2 races now, what's really shining for you other than the first win?
I mean, obviously, like I said, the Banshee really likes the open areas, stuff like that. So I can have a pretty fun time in those. Besides that, I mean, a lot of the softer like terrain is kind of fits my riding style better. Like just being able to, you know, give it everything it has and just hold on basically, you know, it's not the tight and technical stuff for me is, I mean, I like riding it, but it doesn't really fit my machine. And I kind of like to utilize what my machine is good at. So,
yeah. So the first race is probably good for you too, with that little rougher stuff and some soft spots.
yeah, no, that track is like the first track was basically how the trails are like that I ride all the time. You know, a lot of the rocks, a lot of the tree roots. the creek crossings, just a whole lot of stuff mixed together. Basically, it felt like I was just riding the woods that are around us here.
Very cool. So how excited are you to kind of get into your, I guess you'd almost call it your home tracks here coming up? You got 2 of them that's going to be fairly close for you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward. The time off. I mean, definitely get some more riding in. Try to do some machine changes because obviously Banshee for woods racing is not the most ideal machine.
Yeah, I'd hate to see Paul on a Banshee on the starts.
Oh, look out. Look out. Yeah, I would hate to try to hang on to a Banshee for 2 hours. I mean, I've never personally ridden one, but everything I know, they're a screamer, and that's got to be a handful. I like to lug the hills, and it caught me a few times this last race, not having enough momentum because that's the way I ride, and got me almost in a few predicaments. But yeah, to have that handful underneath you, gotta hand it to you. It's
Yeah,
yeah, that's tough. Congratulations there.
yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I've ridden my friend's 4-strokes and I've contemplating it, but I don't know. There's just something about the Banshee and the way it rides and the way you have to ride it, because you have to ride it a certain way or else, you know,
Yep.
it's not going to be a good time for you. It's just, you can't, sometimes it's like under, it just kind of does what it wants some
Yeah.
occasions. So you just need to know how to handle it and fix it and make it go where it needs to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Gage, so you're from Burlington, right? Is that
I'm
right?
from Dubuque.
Dubuque. Sorry. Yeah, Dubuque. Okay. So cool. So Gage, first year, got your first win. We're coming to your tracks, Cahokia, Mount Pleasant being the closest ones for you. We're really looking forward to see what you can do from here on out when we get into, sounds funny to say this, Paul, but our smoother tracks, you know, that might actually accommodate that machine more than what we've had so far.
Yeah, no, I'm looking
It's
forward
still a
to it.
mystery, but yeah, Mount Pleasant would have some spots where you could really open that beast up. But yeah, you'll get all kinds of good woods racing there. Both of those tracks, I'm sure, are going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Gage, I'm very impressed with you so far. Like I said, being the first year and what you're putting out there. You've already mentioned like you've been out in the woods, getting outside of that starting area almost in first both times, or right close to it. And this is probably one of the biggest, I guarantee it's the biggest first year class we've had the first 2 races of the year so far. So that's a very impressive. And I know some of the guys in there are no slouches. So, I mean, they're not always, you know, it's a first year racer, but there's a ton of riding experience and other, you know, riders or riding like dirt bikes and other stuff's in there. So it's pretty cool to see you doing what you're doing, man. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the future here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's just, thanks again for, you know, having me on and everything. And the races, I have to really give it up to you guys. Like, I thought you handled the being postponed very well. And I do think I agree it was for the better, because even on Sunday there it was pretty sloppy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next couple.
Cool, man. We're sure happy to have you. And right quick, do you have anybody you'd like to thank that's helping you out?
Yeah, just thanking all my family. You know, my parents are very supportive. A couple of my buddies, you know, that I ride with on the weekends are the ones that can make it out to help me. My girlfriend, they all help me out a lot. Just getting the machine ready, making sure everything in the trailer, helping me on the pit stops and everything. So yeah, I can't thank them enough for everything they do for me.
Very cool, man. Well, you keep having runs like this, and you're going to have to get one of those pit boards out there with the sponsors on it to be thanking, because they're going to be jumping on there pretty darn quick. So congratulations, man. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right,
thanks,
man.
Gage.
Good talking with you.
That's a pretty impressive start to a first-year racer.
Yes. Yep.
Very impressive. So who do we got next?
Oh, we have, well, unfortunately, we have another Andy. I
Ah,
like this other Andy a little bit better.
oh,
Doesn't take
man.
much.
Yeah, he's my height, and yeah,
Had to go there, didn't we?
I did.
Had we go there?
Welcome, Andy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, Andy. How's Andy?
This Andy's doing pretty good.
Oh, shoot. Well, Andy, thanks for sticking around there for us. A little extra long. Chris tends to kind of go a little long on stuff, and we get behind.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
as you can tell, Saturday when we were waiting on scoring to take off.
Yeah.
Sunday.
I don't remember that.
Sunday, that's
Oh.
right. Oh,
There we go.
Saturdays. That's right. I'm getting the days mixed up.
There we go.
Saturdays when the scoring went to town to have fun, party and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a Sunday that we were behind on.
Ouch.
So, Andy, not first year. So we just got enough first year, but this is your first year racing, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So truly got another first year racer here with us, but you jumped right into the young C class. What was part of your decision there not to go to the first year racer?
Well, I honestly, it was just it was almost a mistake because I read the rules and I thought, well, three races or less. I thought you could only stay in that class for 3 races. So I'm like, there's no point in racing 3 races and having to change all your number plates and re-enter and all that. So I just jumped into the C class thinking I'll be 6. Well, before, when I first made the decision to do it, I was a couple months out from being 16. So, and then I saw this race was May 4th, which is, since my birthday is April 14th, I was like, I'll just jump into this class since it's going to be easy and I can stay in it for a while and don't have to change a lot.
Oh, Chris, I had someone else ask me to clarify that too. That's something we probably need to look at and clarify that. That's truly just meant to be where if you started racing, like say the last year and you did 2 races, that's saying that you can still go into the first year if you haven't done more than 3 races is what that is. So basically not enough races to be in the points that you can still race it next year. So, but yeah, I'm still glad you went there. Gage is having a heck of a year there, and being a first year racer, you in the C class, you had a heck of a run Saturday in the mud. Is the mud something that you're comfortable with, or what's your history there?
I have never really raced in that much mud, but growing up on a farm, going to grandma's timbers, you kind of get used to it because I used to ride almost every day in any conditions. After it rained, I'd be out there. So the mud, didn't really bother me that much, but I was used to it.
So you were kind of preparing back when you didn't even know you were going to race. You were,
yeah.
Very cool. So did you have any challenges, during the race outside of the actual, just the mud? Did you have any challenges, lap traffic, or traffic, I should say?
I'd say the only really big one is down. There was one main spot. It was around a turn where there was a big bottleneck, and it was like soup coming up to it. So you
just went down a hill, didn't you?
What?
Did you just go down a hill, a rocky hill?
Yes, I believe so. And yeah, you got down and it was like soup, and you had to turn to your right, and it was super hard to get turned around. But once you got straight with where you were going up, it was pretty easy.
You remember that, Paul?
Well, I think so. I think that might have been the hill where some guy, Nathan Strand, was just
Oh.
sitting there kind of in the way, if that's the one I'm thinking of. And we ended up working our way back towards the other one. Back to your right more later on in the race to get back up there. It wasn't all his fault. There was one big rut that came up there, and you had to turn. Yeah, I'm guessing that's probably that spot. It ended up being kind of a mess there. It's one of the hill climbs that was more of a problem. Andy, tell me about your background a little more. How'd you get into this? What sparked this?
Well, I've been riding since I was 4, starting on a little Polaris 50. And I've been working my way up through. And what really got me started is my dad used to race these. And he's still got all of his 3-wheelers sitting in the shed. Walk by him every so often. I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I want to go do that. So I've been thinking about it since like last year. I was like, man, I'd want to do this, but toward the end of the season, there's no point. So when this winter hit, I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So finally got all of our stuff together, went out when it got warm, started riding around a little bit more, learning my 4-wheeler a little bit better than what I had, and just tried to prepare as best I could to get ready for this. But I guess nothing really could prepare me for Dodge.
Now, is this something we're going to see you the rest of the year then?
Yes, I do plan on racing some more.
Very cool. Well, man, it was pretty darn impressive. You mentioned your dad having all that stuff. I seen your dad right by your side the whole time. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think he loves it almost a little more than I do.
Well,
Yeah.
Bring him out. There's classes for him too.
I know he was gonna race it, but he was like, man, what am I gonna feel like after this?
Well, Paul, how do you feel?
I feel great today. This is Thursday. Tuesday was kind of rough. I'll admit it. Yeah. And we only went an hour and a half, Yeah, it's not the first day after, it's the second day after. But you get over that. Yep.
Huh. Yeah. So do you have anybody else around you, Andy, that's thinking about racing or getting involved?
There's really nobody anymore. Everybody that goes to my school just really lives in town or just doesn't find it interesting.
Yeah. Well, wait till they start seeing these trophies and articles and podcasts popping up with you on there. Everybody will start finding it interesting.
Yeah, I do have one good friend that would really like to just get into riding some more, but lives in town, and it's kind of hard to get onto a 4-wheeler when you live in town and ride as much as you want to.
Yeah. Well, man, I don't know. That was pretty impressive. And how did your first race go, Paul?
Yeah. Well, my first, you go back to the farm, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to race once, just to say I raced. But I was around motorcycles more when I was younger, and my mom wouldn't let me race anything. She wouldn't let me have any fun. Fun hater, I guess. But anyway, it was rough. And unfortunately, I enjoyed it. I'd put my air pressure in the rear. The farm was a little muddy, that first one. I don't know if you guys can remember that 35 years ago or whatever that was. It seems like. No, I was 35. Had 11 pounds of pressure in my rear tire. So I wasn't going anywhere, but I still enjoyed it. I got off my machine, the battery. You had to hold the start button, give it a little gas, and then the battery cable came loose, so you had to hold that. So I'd push the start button with my helmet and give it gas, and the other hand was on the holding the battery connections. And yeah, I don't know. Some reason I kept going. I don't know. It was a rough few weeks, but once you get kind of hooked, golly, I still enjoy the race. That's what it's about too, and the people. And then hopefully, Andy, as you go with time, get to know other people and hang out at the track a little bit. We're all there to give you advice, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You just got to pick what you think on some of that. But most people are pretty honest with the advice, and that's what the race family is all about there. So want to welcome you to it, and
Yeah.
hope to see you at all the races.
Yeah, I'll try my best to get to most of them.
All right.
I know you're involved with baseball and stuff from talking with you there, Andy, and so I know it gets awful busy, but they're a lot of fun. And the more, like he said, the more people you meet around the races, the better it gets. So
Yeah,
Very
I already
cool.
told my coach. I said if there's a race or anything, I'm gonna be gone.
we were actually working up in Perry doing some paving, and came by, and I remember all the baseball team was out there practicing. Next time I'll honk at you when we come through.
All right. Oh yeah, you're doing the just repaving all the roads down in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I brought this up a couple times. I know it's tough, and we're having fun tonight, but on a serious side, just know that the whole series is thinking about you and your classmates and stuff through all this stuff that you've had to work through this year. And hopefully you can find a little bit of comfort and have some fun with us, and we can get you enjoying everything it's coming your way.
Yeah. It's been kind of the long last semester of school, but I mean, only 13 days left, so I'm really hoping for the end.
Who's counting though, right?
Yeah. Honestly, probably everybody at this point.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But man, we're super excited. I know this is your first time, but was there anybody you'd like to thank that's kind of gotten you where you're at right now, getting started?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad. He's out there almost as much as me working on my stuff. And as I said, he probably loves this just as much or more than me. He's having fun. He gets into the mindset where he's like, man, I'm going to do this. And then he starts to think, man, what are the consequences doing this? But hopefully you'll see him at the next race, because I think I can convince him to do it.
Well, I can tell you this, Andy, is that all three of us that are on here with you have had multiple boys of our own racing, and no matter how many times you strap on and and get on the machine and stuff and take that starting line, it's just not the same as seeing one of yours do the same thing. And so I'm sure your dad's a proud man right now getting to see you, and I hope to see him too. But we're just thankful to have you guys with us in there and racing, and we look forward to seeing you at the next race.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Yep. That's
pretty impressive. We've got, honestly, 2 first-year racers out there and doing really good in some of the – I'd probably say this is probably some it dates back quite a bit, Paul, to get back to these conditions, I think.
Yeah, I mean, these were some really heads up. We talked about it a little earlier, man. It was all about being heads up, I think, and picking and choosing, and there was a ton of people that kind of got to go back to like all the adults, which I really enjoyed seeing this time. We go through phases with I'll call them parents and race friends and stuff that help out with during the kids races. Yeah, we had a lot of people out on the track helping us out, saving the day on that stuff. I was thinking of somebody I forgot to say, but just that they were all daisy chaining up the hills and helping those kids out, and that helped. And they were out there with the adult track too. Some I think Andy, you ran into a little situation on one hillside there. I came up on that. My pit crew actually warned me of stuff going on over there when I was stopping pitting, and it helped me a lot. But when I got into the actual situation, I didn't think it had blown up quite as much as it had for you over there. And being in that, I've with few times that I actually work on the adult track and come into those scenarios where you're one man and you have 20 quads sitting all over the place. That's tough. How'd you handle that?
Well, you can only do as best you can. It's never going to be good enough. But you know who my best friend was at this race, Paul?
Who was that?
KFI Tiger Tail.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I actually heard a racer asking me, and I couldn't for a moment. I was having a mind blank he was asking about what they had on the back there. He was thoroughly impressed by what it was another tracker worker, what he had done to get that utility unstuck, and couldn't believe he didn't blow that thing up.
We've used them long enough that we know how nice they are, but to actually have them in this situation was absolutely just unbelievable. It saved, when I say minutes, I mean, it could easily have saved a minute, 2 minutes per racer. Just, how that stuff gets tangled up and knots. And it was just amazing where them guys could reach up, unhook it, and just let her go. And we're backing up. And the situation that you mentioned, I heard that was right towards the end of the race. I think the last lap, probably.
Second to last.
Second to last.
And we, I don't know if that was you, Chris, or somebody had told me that that there's people yelling over there that they stuck and everything. We went over there, and I'll bet you I'm not exaggerating, Paul, if I say 10, 15. And I know there's other bottlenecks like that, but it wasn't your typical bottleneck. You had everybody going down a hill and nobody could get up it. And it just kept getting more and more people coming down, and they were scattered on the sides of the roads. And man, I got to give a shout out, because no matter how good that Tiger Tail was or what we were doing, we would still be trying to get people through there to finish the race. If it wasn't for Colby and Dusty, Chancey Tomlinson, Cody or Colin Rink's dad, Dave Rink.
There too.
And there's one that I really got to give a shout out, and I'm horrible at names. Help me, Chris. I can't remember if it's Steven, but Musig. I can see him.
Yeah.
I can't say his first name. Yeah. Man, I hope he's listening, because that guy, I thought he was broke. I thought he was completely done. And he was working his butt off in his race clothes, everything, hooking me up to people, unhooking, just all the time, getting them through. And we get to the awards, and I think he was second or third in his class. And I was like, holy cow, he was still going, so that was darn impressive. But yeah, some of them people, I know we probably shouldn't have mentioned names just because there were so many people out there helping. But that was just one scenario that I came up on that literally could not have done it without those 4 or 5 people, being over there in their street clothes and stuff, and just helping out. It just definitely doesn't go on won't be forgotten for sure. So,
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of, it's funny how when you look at a mud race, it's like, geez, that stunk, or such and such. And then you step away and you look at the big picture. And that's probably one of my favorite races. It's hard for me to say this, but all of the good that you see comes out of it, and the way people step up when they can help people, and it's really cool, I think, to see that stuff happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of great help out there. And there was a few other places where there's a ton of people standing around and point you the right direction. Well, even some of the racers are just dead stuck on the flat part over there on top of behind the old tabletop. We made a little loop off that upper thing, and I couldn't believe that area went away. It it was yeah, it was quite a mess there, and a lot of people helping out and people looking out for people and stuff like that. It was great to see camaraderie there.
So yeah, to kind of switch gears here, I know we can probably talk all day about everybody that's helped, and we're very grateful. But kind of switching gears, maybe another opportunity with our next guest here, Dan Kleen, that's going to come on and join us. Maybe how we can help some of our veterans. So if and your dog makes a cameo,
Yeah, Scott wants to say hi.
Let's go ahead and bring on Dan.
Hey guys,
Hey,
Good
welcome.
morning.
Dan.
you bring out the young guys and then bring out the old dinosaur to finish up.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, for those who are maybe don't know who Dan is, Dan, you were still with the Iowa OHV Association. And I think you've been, since day one, right? How many years has the association been together?
We started in 1987 trying to develop the association. We got it up and running in 1989. So been quite a while. I had hair back then, so that's how long it
So
now Dan, real quick, some of our listeners and everybody may not even, when they hear the Iowa OHV, I run across this all the time. Even people that live in Iowa doesn't know what the Iowa OHV is, but yet they know about our parks. So spend just a few minutes here real quick and just give us an overview real quick of what the OHV and your involvement with the NOVAC is.
Sure, thanks. The Iowa Off-Highway Vehicle Association actually started off in 89, like I said, as the Iowa ATV Association. Back then, there was no legal riding places in Iowa to ride. Over where Lakeview was open to the public area, but it was for full-size and all motorized vehicles at the time. There wasn't any specific places to ride back then, and even yet today, the state of Iowa will not let us ride on state-owned property. So we have to join in all the parks we've done and developed. Bluff Creek, we actually purchased. That was the first park we opened. The rest of the parks are all with management agreement with cities or counties and the Army Corps of Engineers. We have 3 of the parks on Army Corps of Engineer ground. So the local clubs help develop the riding areas. They're responsible for the maintenance of the parks. We fund them through grants through our ATV the OHV registrations that we're all putting on our machines. That money goes to the parks for maintenance, development, and further developing of new areas. And we're working every day to try to get new areas up and running. It's very tough. Iowa's 49th in the nation for the least amount of public ground. There's 2% of our state is public ground, and everybody wants it. The equestrians, the hikers, the hunters, the bikers, everybody wants that 2%. So it's really tough to find ground. And for our riding, as you guys know, you're talking about the mud and things you struggle through or endured at the track last weekend. We don't want flat open pastures. We want some terrain. We want some tough, disturbed area. So years ago, we actually worked with the DNR and a lot of the environmental groups that opposed our sport. We worked together for 18 months to put together a land acquisition policy so we can develop these parks. If there's rare and endangered species or high quality native areas like wetlands or something, we can protect them. It doesn't necessarily have to kill a project, which it used to do in the past. If we were working on a park and they found some cattails in there, it would kill the project. So we've come a long ways that way. You know, we always tell the people that aren't real familiar with our groups that we're no different than any other recreational group. We just like to do it on our machines. We want to see nature. We want to see wildlife. We want to see the beauty just like everybody else. And as long as we're doing it responsibly, we think we have the right to do that. So we've got 8 parks open in the past. One in Council Bluffs has been closed for a few years. We're working real hard with a local club over there in the city and the DNR to try to reopen that park. We're a ways away yet, but that's one of our main goals here. So the parks have been a huge success, and that's what the Iowa OHV Association concentrates on. We're concentrating on the legal designated OHV parks and trails in Iowa.
Mhm.
Dan, you know, our first podcast that we did, Chris and I, and I think Paul might have been on there too. We talked about how our series got started. And you just kind of gave us an overview of everything that the OHV's done. But really, we wouldn't even have our series right now if it wasn't for the IOHV.
Yeah.
It's we all got involved, you know, through that, and the clubs that were going back then and stuff, and everything that the OHV's provided is what got us to fall in love with the sport. You know, I'd never ridden anything till I, you know, got involved there and stuff. And so it all comes full circle, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And a lot of people that when you start talking OHV, they think, well, it doesn't really involve me, but it truly does. There's so many people out there practicing, going riding, falling in love with the sport. I mean, you're giving the opportunities for everybody to come be a part of that. And that's something I think a lot of people forget.
Right. And that's a key point. You know, if people don't get involved, these things go away. And we know in today's culture, people don't join clubs. They join Facebook groups and that kind of thing. They don't go to club meetings like we used to, and to do it. And way too many people are not understanding. They think that's DNR, the state of Iowa, just flips a coin and picks a place for an area and it pops up there. That's furthest thing from the truth. We worked for years. In the case of Fort Dodge, Gypsum City Park, we actually worked 16 years before phase 1 opened. It doesn't happen. And if we rely on the county or a state or a city to do this for us, it's never going to happen. If riders don't get involved, get their hands dirty, join clubs, even if you can't make a meeting or a work day at a park, join the club. So we have you as a number. Excuse me. When we go talk to legislators, when we talk to the DNR, we have to have backing and people get involved. And, you know, it's back in like Bluff Creek, when we first started having work days there, we'd have 70 people show up that are volunteers, you know, that had ownership in that park. People back then, we didn't have equipment to maintain the parks. People would bring their own bobcats and their own tools, and by gosh, we got her done. But, you know, back then, the first grant review committee, I've been on every grant review, maybe missed a couple over the years, but been involved since the start. The very first grant that we had from the DNR to open parks, insure them, pay for fencing, equipment, and all that, we had $7,500 that was supposed to last us for 2 years. So we had less than $4,000 a year to operate on, and we've come a long ways. You know, we've done a great job. I've got to, you know, give kudos to all of our past board members, our current board members who are still volunteering. Most of them are as gray and old and bald as I am. We need young people to get involved. You know, don't just assume that these parks are going to be here tomorrow, because if we don't have people, writers, take an active role and get some ownership in them, it can go away. We're seeing it nationwide. There's a lot of areas that are being closed because they're being misused. People aren't following the rules, don't care about the rules. They don't think they affect them. It makes a difference, and people need to not be afraid. If you see someone doing something they shouldn't be or not wearing a helmet at a park, don't be afraid to mention them. You know, guys, this is our park and we worked hard for it. You know, they need to follow the rules and use a little common sense on some of the cases. We're seeing a lot of new riders, especially in the side-by-side community. New people buying machines that aren't riders. They haven't been racing ATVs as long as Paul has. You know, they haven't been in the sport as long as the rest of us have. You know, they're just buying these machines. They're going out to parks, and again, they're assuming that the state of Iowa provided that riding area, and it's going to be there tomorrow if they just pay their $15, you know, for a year sticker. We've come a long ways, but we really need to get people involved and help take ownership in these parks and keep them going.
For sure. Well, Dan, like we was talking earlier, we actually truly want to do a whole podcast and have you on and go over all of this stuff to get everybody. I'm looking at some right now, and I just seen a message from Sabrina Bogren. Says Iowa has some awesome OHV parks. Thank you for keeping those parks around. So that's cool seeing that stuff. And there's so much stuff that we need to get out, Dan, about what's going on and everything. But we're going to have to probably fast forward and get you on here again for that, to talk about that in more detail and stuff. But can you tell us what you got going on here in a week or two? That's just so important.
Sure. Thank you. May 18th, Saturday, May 18th, we're having the annual Iowa OHV Association meeting. And it's actually the first in-person meeting we've had since COVID. So it's important to get people there. We got tons of door prizes. The dealers and businesses around the state have donated door prizes for us. But we're having guest speakers. Jessica Flatt, who is with the DNR, is our program manager. Jessica is going to come up and give an update. She's been doing a tremendous job. Great gal to work with. I'm happy to have Jessica on and appreciate all the help she's given us. We've got Tasha West, who manages the Gypsum City OHV Park's going to do a presentation. Tasha is an amazing gal that is so proud of that park and is doing a tremendous job up there. I don't know how many of your listeners have been to the park, but do get out there and ride it. Gypsum City's been used as an example nationwide for our NOVAC conferences, our National Off-Highway Vehicle Conservation Conferences. Tasha's done several presentations there. The whole Gypsum City Park is a huge success, and you know, when you get that many landowners that have come together, companies to help donate property, and we've developed it. Every acre of that 800 acres has been donated by these gypsum companies, but yet we've spent close to $12 million developing it, and it's huge. It's a beautiful facility, top notch. It's exactly what we were hoping we'd get. We've funded that project through our OHV registrations, but also RTP or FRT is a federal fuel tax that comes back to our state. We've been really successful in getting those grants to help fund it as well. So, you know, people look at the what we've done with these parks. If you know, $15 for your annual sticker, you spend more of that on the pizza on the way home from riding one night. You know, so to have an $11 million park on a $15 sticker that you can use any day of the week, as long as it's not temporary closed, but like now for wet conditions, which we have to do to keep the parks from getting tore up and our trail work getting tore up. You know, that's a bargain of century. Any place you go riding, you'll spend $50 a day to ride, you know. So 15, we've got to at some point look at upping that, but it's a heck of an investment. For $15 we can do all these parks and keep them up and running. And thanks again to the clubs and volunteers that you know, put their blood, sweat, and tears out there to keep those open for the general public.
Absolutely. Really quick before we get to your next part, Dan, we're already getting people actually asking some messages about how to join the OHV to help out in this situation.
Okay. If you go right now, we're working on our website. We're trying to get that back up and running and current here. I've been having a little issues there, but if you join the Iowa OHV Association's Facebook, follow them. There you can get on there and show how to sign up online to join. And still on the website, there is a link to join up for the membership. It's only $15 again for a year to be supportive of our association. When we talk about these parks and stuff and the duties of the association and the role the Iowa OHV Association plays in this, it's the behind the scenes thing. It's the insurance. All these parks would be closed tomorrow if we didn't have insurance at these parks. I personally worked 1.5 years to get the policies in place. Went into place May 1st to keep the parks open again for another year. It's the insurance companies are getting out of insuring that. So little things like insurance, which is a big thing, because all the parks would close tomorrow if we didn't have it. Legislation, every single year, there's legislation introduced that will be very detrimental to our sport. Actually, this year, there was legislation introduced to ban all on-road use in Iowa, which it just opened up again. Again, Iowa OHV Association's primary and main goal and only effort right now is to do the parks and keep those parks open and open new ones. Another piece of legislation that went through this year was because of the on-road stuff to ride in state parks on the roads, the same roads that the vehicles can park or drive through on state parks and stuff. Again, that's all stuff that comes up, but every single year there's issues that affect us if we aren't there. And the Iowa Motorcycle Dealers Association has been extremely helpful over the years. They have paid lobbyists. Right now, Allie DeMoss is their lobbyist. So she's helping us out, keeping an eye on what's going on. Mark Maxwell was their lobbyist and a Bates lobbyist for years. Helped us out, gives us heads up and give me a call when there's a committee or legislation introduced to something that could really hurt us in our OHV sport, in our families, out there recreating. So, we appreciate any support they can get. Let us know, follow our Facebook. And, we're not just working on the parks. The association is doing veterans rides. We do group home rides for young adults with mental challenges and disabilities. It's just a fun group to be a part of. Just if you're joining, you're not just going to be handed a trash bag and asked to pick up a water bottle now and then. You're going to actually have some fun and make a difference.
So Dan, tell us about this upcoming event you got for the ride.
Okay. June 1st, 2 years ago, we've been doing the veterans ride at the Iowa Veterans Home since 2018. And the very first one we did, when we came up with this idea and approached the Iowa Veterans Home about it, we have the park in Marshalltown, the Nicholson Ford OHV Park. And our plan was to have the veterans bust out to the park. We'd give them a ride and bus them back. Well, when I talked to Emily Hall, who is the rec developer at the Veterans Home, she said, well, could we have it here? And I'm thinking it's a building with 2 or 3 blocks of land. It will get there. It's a 150-acre facility, absolutely gorgeous facility. It's one of the largest state-owned veterans homes in the nation. They have capacity for 700 veterans. They're running right at 500 veterans right now. They have 800 staff members. Beautiful facility. So we said, no, this is perfect. They have about a 3/4 of a mile of Iowa River front there. They have a path up along the Iowa River there. They have the cemetery. Looks like a miniature Arlington cemetery, but it was perfect place to do this park or this ride in their facility. So we had the ride, huge success. We probably gave 100 veterans rides. They were having so much fun. They were getting out of the machine and we had so many veterans waiting. We could only give them like one lap, which was about 15, 20 minutes. they'd get out and they figured out that if they went through one building and out another building, they got in line for another ride. So they were going from building to building to building so they could get more rides. But
That's right.
we got done with it. We had more fun, I think, than the veterans did. Our group did, the association members and volunteers. But got home and the commandant called me the following week. He said, "You guys got to come back." He said, they don't stop talking about this. And I said, "Yeah, we'll be back next year." And he said, "No, you got to come back this year." So we did a fall ride. So now every year we do 2 rides. June 2nd is our spring ride for the Veterans Home in Marshalltown. If you guys can share my contact information, email, have anybody that wants to come volunteer with side-by-sides. We require helmets and eye protection. We have helmets for the veterans to ride, but if you have an extra half helmet or something, bring it along and contact me and we'll get you on the list if you want to come out and ride. And just a quick kudos out there, every year when I send out the invite and the announcement for the rides, I ask people to bring helmets. I got a call from Lee Lundstrom and Katie Lundstrom from Struthers Brothers a year ago, and they said, "Well, we see you need helmets." Excuse me. I said, "Yeah, we can always use a few." And he said, "Well, how many do you need?" And I said, "Well, half dozen or so would be great, really help out." And he goes, "Well, I was thinking more like 20 or 30. So Struthers Brothers sent me 30 new half helmets to use for our veterans rides and for our group home rides and stuff. So thanks to Struthers Brothers for helping out with that. That was really big and helped a lot. But these veteran rides are fantastic. A lot of these veterans, we've ranged from age 32 to 105 riding. The gentleman that was 105 rode with us 3 years. He rode at 102, 103, 104, 105. Quite a character. So wow. But when you can put smiles on their face, this year one of the gentlemen I was giving a ride. He was really soft-spoken. You could barely hear him. He was kind of weak, and he was actually holding his head up with his hand so he could see over the top of my razor. And I knew he said something, but I couldn't understand him, so I had to stop and shut the machine off. I said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said." And he said, "These trails are this ride is boring, hit the river." So we had to go down to the river and get muddy. So I was driving him through the cemetery at the time when he told me it was boring, but you'll have a blast. It's a great deal. That's June 2nd. June 1st is a group home ride with Friendship Arc. It's a group home facility in Ames. 2 years ago was our first year. And actually one of the staff members from the Veterans Home made the comment when we were at the Veterans Home that her daughter Denise would really enjoy these rides. I said, "Well, bring her next year and we'll give her a ride." And she said, "Well, she's in a facility in Ames and they told us about Friendship Arc." And we said, "Well, we'll call them." We went to them and set up a ride for their residents. The first year we had 19 residents come out. Absolutely had a blast. Last year we had 49 residents. This year we're looking at about 75 coming out. Wow. Guarantee you'll never hear as much hooting and hollering as you will with these young adults getting in these rides. My wife Joan and I were given rides. She had a gal in with her, and I had the guy named Bill in with me. Well, we go around the perimeter of a hayfield, nothing challenging or anything, but for them it's the greatest ride ever. So Joan and I were acting like we were racing a little. So I'd cut a corner and jump in front of them, and for next corner I'd take a little wide corner and she'd go in front. So, but every time we come up to the finish line, and we were maybe doing 20 mile an hour, but I'm sure for them it felt like they were doing 120. But right when we get to the finish line, it was neck and neck. I'd let up a little bit and the girls would win every time. And I kept telling Bill, I said, "Bill, these girls beat us again." So he was just ashamed to ride with me because I didn't know how to drive. But we have a blast, and that's June 1st. Again, send me an email if you'd want to come out and have a great day, giving some people that'll these rides actually change their lives. So it's very cool.
What you're doing, we can't thank you enough for heading this up. I will tell you, in the last couple of years, we've been trying to get our machine there, and I haven't been able to make it. Today, Randy and Andrea, Andrea's father was in Marshalltown at that same facility, and I was talking with Randy, and if we can't make it, sounds like they're going to be there. So one way or another, our machine will be there to help for sure, Dan, at the Veterans.
Awesome.
But I want to take a second too, Chris and Paul. We've all talked about this ride before. I don't think we ever do enough to expose it, but I'd like to challenge. We've got so many side-by-sides in our race series, not just race machines, but people that have them at home.
Right.
I'd like to challenge every one of them right now to just see what we can do as a series for these two rides, and may not be able to hit them both, but let's get the word out and just see what we can do and get people there. And I don't know if it's going to be more rewarding for the people that are actually there and getting a ride, or the people that are there.
It's a tie. It's a tie. We every year, once someone's coming to help and give a ride, they're back there. I mean, it's no brainer. But what limits us on the amount of rides, and some of these young adults especially, they don't want to get out. They want to stay in there and ride. Well, when we got 6 or 7 or 8 people waiting in line, you gotta time it out a little bit. But if we had more machines, we could give them a half-hour ride or an hour ride or whatever they wanted. And again, it just changes their life. It's something they've never gotten to do. It's something new and exciting. Even though we've only done it 2 years for the Friendship Arc ride, these young adults, when they come out there, they know their guy. They'll see me, or they'll see Joan, or they'll see Chris. One gal, I can't think of her first name now, but we called her Hawkeye because she always has her Hawkeye sweatshirts or T-shirts on and stuff. Well, she wants to ride with Chris. Chris has got a Yamaha 1000, and he's got long hair. He's cool. It's got the fancy machines and flag. Well, she wants to ride with Chris. Well, last year, Chris was giving someone else a ride, and then Hawkeye's standing there waiting. And Joan, my wife, says, "Get in with Dan and for a ride." No, she ain't gonna ride with Dan. Well, finally, I got her talked into. Well, we want one ride, and as soon as Chris was available again, boy, she was out the door and in with him again. So they love it. They remember who they're riding with and what's going on. And again, if we could get more machines, we could give them longer rides.
Well, let's see what we can do about getting some out there. But I just had a question pop up too about St. John Briggs asked, is there any dealers helping get units out there?
There are. We've got some dealers. Again, Struthers helped us out this year. Other dealers, Hicklin's helped us out. In the past with machines to get there, they brought their own machines or family, or some of the company machines out there. Some of their employees have helped Gov Rides. Dealers have been very supportive. The Iowa Motorcycle Dealers Association helps us out, get the word out. We're doing a good job of trying to promote the businesses that help us. We're trying to do more, but we appreciate every little thing. If even like our annual meeting here, the door prizes we're getting from dealers across the state, they appreciate what the association's doing, what the local clubs are doing with the parks, because it helps them sell machines. If those parks weren't there, they wouldn't be selling as many tires, brake parts, steering, or machines flat out. So it's a win-win for both of us. So, but
I'll tell you, Dan, St. John, I think, has maybe an idea. He hasn't spoke up yet, but I'm thinking St. John might be working somewhere. He might be able to pull something out of the hat to maybe get a machine or two there. I think he's up close to Ames too, so that might work better for him at that one. But we just got another comment from Chad Deutsch. Chad owns Dr. Power Sports there in Cedar Falls and is already talking about bringing 1 or 2 machines out.
Right.
So if you can, you already sent me that email. I'm going to get that email shared. And like I said, I'm going to challenge our whole thing and our whole series and see what we can't do here, and maybe get as many as we can there, and just really make an impact this year if at all possible. So
Yep, thank you, and thank you, Chad. And that's, you mentioned it earlier. Once you start naming names, you'd never remember them all. Aaron has been talking to me about Dr. Power Sports bringing stuff too. So yeah, they're in. I can't remember. Well, I won't remember all the people that are helping in business and stuff. But we just want to thank everybody for what they've been doing, and look forward to their support in the future with this. But I personally will guarantee everybody and anybody that comes and helps out with these will never regret it. It's the most rewarding day or two of riding you'll have all year, guarantee it.
Well, we just had another gentleman, Mark Hambley. Did you see that, Chris?
Yep.
All the way from Illinois, saying, "I'll bring mine for sure."
Just kind of to recap here, I did share Dan's email address here at the bottom of the screen, that if people are interested or available either the first, which is a Saturday, or second is a Sunday. Either one of those days, just reach out to Dan, let him give a heads up on which maybe event you can help out with. But Dan, I think we'll be in coordination with you, and it's something we can keep pushing for the next few podcasts to see if we can get as many people there as we can.
Appreciate it. And again, on the annual meeting, if you guys need that information, I think that was in the email too, on the times and location and date and everything. But we kind of need a heads up for meals. We're planning on having a taco bar there. It's going to be a cost of $10 for everybody, but we need a head count of people coming so we can let the caterer know, so we got some meal or food there for everybody. But very informative meeting at the annual meeting. Got a lot of business new updates, and I think everybody would enjoy it.
Remind us again, Dan, what was the date on the annual meeting?
Saturday, May 18th, a week from Saturday. And it's going to be in Fort Dodge, starts at 10 o'clock.
I'll throw out a cross post for you, Dan, on our.
It's at the Iowa Central Community College East Campus, which is on P59, right north of the Gypsum City OHV Park, about a half mile north on the west side of the road. Can't miss it.
Just about 2 miles north of where we just got done racing.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Dan, thank you very much. And it might be something we maybe we do this, maybe get Dan back on shortly after that ride, and we can talk about it. Maybe show some pictures and stuff from that ride. So
I appreciate it. And we challenge anybody, you don't have to wait till our veterans home ride. If you want to get, a local, if you know someone in your neighborhood or in your area, don't be afraid to call them up and take them for a ride. Just give them, you don't have to have a big organized event. Our goal right now is to try to get everybody, or as many out there as possible. We've been using the Iowa OHVs Association's ride. We call it the Thank You for Your Service ride, and Marshalltown there. But we've been using an example. We've helped get South Dakota up and going on their veterans home ride. I was out in Arizona this winter. We did our first veterans ride out there. We had 32 veterans we took out for a couple-hour ride out into the desert. We went out to an old abandoned stagecoach stop out on the Box Canyon. They all got out, had lunch, and they all talked about their service. It was extremely cool and extremely helpful for them, to get out with their own and share and just kind of, enjoy Mother Nature, but do something they haven't done or typically don't do. But appreciate the support, guys, and just let me know. I guarantee you'll enjoy it.
Well, Dan, we're getting a lot more people asking reminding about the dates and locations and stuff. So we're going to get all that stuff out there for you.
Perfect.
And like I said, we're going to see what we can't make happen on this one for sure. So
Thank
you a million. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'll steal some information off of your guys' Facebook group and just repost it to our two groups that we have going.
Okay.
Just so we can get the word out. Make it a big event.
Yep. And Andy's got an email with all the details as far as locations and times and stuff. But I do really appreciate if everybody gets a hold of me first so we can get a head count on what we're doing and stuff. And thank you for everybody supporting us and what we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Oh, man.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
All right.
See you, Dan.
It's probably
You
some
wanna
of the
go-
neatest stuff we'll talk about all
Yeah.
night. That's really cool
Right.
stuff he's got going there.
And we go back to our history with Dan. Geez, I don't know. I've known him 20 years now, or pretty
Yeah.
close. There's not enough credit that can go out to what he does behind the scenes on that whole organization and Nova. I'm not saying Novak. Yeah, he's a neat guy, and boy, not much would have happened without him.
Probably one of the most selfless guys I've ever had the honor of knowing. He's
Yep.
given a lot to a lot of people that don't even realize it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
cool. Well, we do need to move on because we got some big news coming, don't we, Chris?
Well, we first kind of need to touch on, before we go and talk to the big news, just kind of touch base regarding the Adult 90 miniseries. So, as everybody knows, Friday we had everything pretty well set. You and I were working on the Adult 90 course, and then the rain came, and there was no way that anybody was going to make it to the inside of the track. If you looked at the inside of the track, it looked like a little lake there. So instead of the two normal lakes that are down there, there looks like three. So we're not giving up on the miniseries, right?
No, not at all.
Lou got to keep the belt, as he said. Lou was proud to take the belt back home and hold on to it until we get to the next round. So
What belt is that?
that would be the championship belt.
The Jason Mickelson Century
And
21 belt.
Yes. So
Yes,
we're kind of tossing around some ideas. We want to try to make up an event so we can actually have a good point series. We'll get the news out once we figure it out, but it's on our radar.
And
Right?
Chris, the reason it's just not an easy fix is the fact that we do not want these guys. It's why we moved our kids up a half hour. We don't want them, having to be on that machine before the kid races, so then we have the scheduling, with adults racing. So it's not just as easy as 1, 2, 3, so all the races are on. It's just, we'd really, really like to make this one up for sure. So that's something we're definitely just going to have to talk about and get back to everybody on.
Yep, we're tossing around the idea of doing it or trying to do something at Heartland Challenge, but it's just not feasible when we look at it. We don't want to do an event Friday, which would be our only potential free time to do something, but the adults using their kids' machine that may potentially use it Saturday, we don't want something to happen and ruin the kids' race. So we'll look into that.
Yeah, something else I want to get to, Chris, before we get to the big stuff. And it's funny, Paul's on here right now with us too. But I'll tell you what, I'm not. It's hard for me to hold back on this one, and a lot of people I don't think realize what it means. But I spend a lot of time, and people, have fun with me. We have the audio playing before each race and stuff that clearly talks about it. And I think everybody's tired of hearing me say this, but about our slowdown area coming into scoring. And a lot of people look at this as a joke, that, it's just nothing funny. And I guess this race, it kind of boiled over with me, especially because it's something that I preach to everybody. If you're not up at the writers meeting, if you're in the back and you're having a conversation, you're not listening, then that's on you. Because I must have mentioned it 5-6 times for everybody to come up and listen and make sure we've got this. We had a really nice area set up for the scoring. And I'm not afraid to call this out. It tends to be the AA class that's doing this. And my issue here is, Chris, when you call me to come up there because nobody's listening, we have to leave some spot open on the track. That means one less person pulling with a 4-wheel drive. That means one less person watching something. So, in case someone got hurt. I mean, there's just so many other things that we could be doing other than up there, quite frankly, is babysitting. And I'm working on a couple ideas that's going to happen. Something's going to happen, but if you're one of the guys that got yelled at, if you're one of the guys that didn't get yelled at, or you could be like Paul and be caught up in the middle of it. And Paul will tell you, I jumped right in front of him and yelled at him too. And he asked, why'd I get in trouble? I said, because you were with him. But just so you know, it really doesn't make any difference what your name is, what your number is, anything else. If there's one class that I would expect to not be doing this, it would be the AA. The way I see it, they should be the ones that we call pros. We call most experienced, the people that look up to them, be the kids seeing them come flying through there. I'm not going to get into it anymore. My promise to you, Chris, is this will not continue to happen without being punished. I promise you, I'm working on a couple things right now to where we can definitely tell who it was. Not something on the fly. And if that works out, it'll all be there and we'll know. And we will put what truly is. Some people like to call this stuff penalties. Well, this just truly will be a penalty. We're not going to keep having the slow zone be a race zone. So just fair warning to everybody on that.
I was very disappointed. I mean, it only seemed to be our AA class. When they're going through there, I don't want to name names either because I want to have a personal conversation with this gentleman, AA rider. When they're going through scoring and I hear a shift, they were shifting into third gear coming through under the tent. So that gentleman and I, before next race, are going to have a conversation. Not only is it a safety concern for them, but a safety concern for us. That should not have happened with our AA class. So
no, not at all.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
So let's get to the fun stuff. You want to talk about impressive, Paul? I know you were down there. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about somebody? We need to have every class come down and take a look at that 90 stock class. The 90 stock class. We had 29, I think it was, the first race. We had 33 at the second race, and we had no issues on the start. And it wasn't even a setup start. We had to do a kind of a throw together due to the weather. But 33 people. I think it was Jeff Freevert, the owner of Sports Park Raceway, which, man, we got to thank him for. I'm going to stop right here really quick and make sure I thank them, because when we made that postponement announcement, Paul, it took me less than 5 minutes to call the landowner and our ambulance crew to get their approval on what we're about ready to do. And that means that's huge. It could have all been shut down really quick with, a couple of nay answers. You know what I mean? So that was huge. But I think Jeff's the one that posted that video of a really good video of all 33 of them taking off. No issues. They worked good together. They took off. That has to be one of the absolute best classes to watch all day long with the battles that go on in that class. And great sportsmanship. I see it every race, big class. Someone pulls over because they're maybe not feeling it right then, but the people that may be a little faster, we see them. I can't tell you the last time I ever seen any bumping going on unless it was someone stopped or something, but just great sportsmanship in that class. And I think it's time that we maybe make a change, Chris.
Yeah, so we've been behind the scenes kind of working through what we can do as we would evaluate any class that's getting this big. We've kind of had to do it with the C class before. We've done it a couple times with the B class over the years. So we've kind of come up with some sort of split here that we're kind of working behind the scenes on to see if it'll work out to try to even the class a little bit more than just 30. I think I have 36 currently total in the class. Yeah, 36 total for just points. So we thought we'd do a breakdown of 8 to 9-year-olds in one class and split the rest 10 to 15-year-olds in the second class.
Now, Chris, real quick, I mentioned something about this at the race,
Mhm.
that we were looking at different. But tell us why we did. How did we choose the ages that we did?
Well, we just kind of looked at all the ages for all 36 racers in the class and try to break it up as even as we can between the two classes. I know originally we might have been looking at 8 to 10 and then 11 to 15. But when we looked at it, there were 6 10-year-olds currently. If we move those 10 or those 6 or 8, I believe, to the older class, it evened up the two classes more. And everything lines up a little bit better.
Gotcha. And that wasn't easy, was it?
Oh, that's taken us the. Your wife and I have been working on this for a couple days now, just trying to make sure everything looks good. Not saying that we may not have a right birth date, but we went up off of registration forms. We looked at questionnaires. Just kind of like we feel it's a good balance here. As we tend to know, the older kids in that 90 class are going to be a little faster than the younger kids, so that might help balance out things a little bit more. So.
Very cool. So basically, Chris, to sum this up, we came out of race number 2 with the 1st through 33rd. Now we actually have 2 people in first place, 2 people leading the points, 2 people right now, if it ended today, would be getting championship jackets at the end of the season.
Yes.
By doing this, not one person would have moved back in points. You either stayed the same if you were up towards the top and been in that age group, or you moved up basically by doing it. So I'm pretty excited. These kids deserve it. We get people all the time, 10 people, we should split it. They need to go watch the kids and see these kids race. And, I know we've had some new ones last couple of races that's been out there. And I think it's normal for them to be nervous at the very beginning, but to go out there and take that challenge and you look down the line and you see 33 people with their hands on their helmets, that's intimidating no matter what your class you're in. And quite frankly, I don't know that Paul Sirk could have got the whole shot in that class.
No, I was watching that. I don't even know how they called or figured the whole shot there. It was pretty neat. It looked like some pro motocross. Everybody zooms to the quick little tight corner there. And I got a chance to kind of spend a little time checking those kids out before they took off. And again, it's always great to see, and that's what we do this for, is those kids. Seeing those numbers, that's awesome. And seeing I was just watching expressions and looks on everybody's faces. If you want to have a good time, go ahead and fist bump the 90 stock class there. You see the whole gamut. You see everything. Just, you see red in the eyes to total excitement to a little fear or indifferent, like they just woke up, or it's fun to see. And that's a great thing what you guys are trying to do. Get a little more competitive for everybody and kind of split that up. So we've got a couple rows going there. And that's a good call.
So Chris, that's a little small. Can you just tell us, maybe mention right quick, the top 3 or something in both those categories?
For the 8 to 9-year-olds, Bregan Mathis would be first place. Hoyt Faulkner would be second place. Drake Inquist would be third place. 90 stock for 10 to 15-year-olds. Nicholas McMillian would be first. Raylan Atkinson would be second. And Riker Birch. I know I slaughtered probably 3 out of those 6 names. So
are we gonna how are we gonna distinguish those guys on number plates? We're talking about a little stripe on there, or how any ideas there? I know that'll come up.
I know it's going to come up. We really haven't talked about it a whole lot. We really wanted to try to get this out so kind of people could get that. Simplest, easiest thing I think behind the scenes that I could probably do is that maybe throw like a bright green sticker or some sort of bright sticker on the helmet,
Orange.
on the, like an orange or a green sticker,
Yeah.
something that we would be able to differentiate the two classes.
Okay.
That's just off the top of my head. We'll still have to work possibly through that. I really don't want to change number plates because some people have already custom graphics. It
Sure.
just, I don't want to really mess with the graphics at all or a whole lot.
Correct. I agree with you. Just take a few. We got a break, so we'll get some of that stuff figured out and make sure everybody knows. But I'm excited to even get it announced tonight, Chris. I think it's going to be a good deal. I think it's just going to help the kids and the adults, deal with it just a little bit better. And once again, I can't tell you how impressed I am. And I think every kid in there just deserves a big pat on the back or a helmet check, a slap on the helmet for, I never had one youth rider come to me asking if we could split it or complaining about so many people. I thought those kids did just such a wonderful job. It was just, they all deserve the credit, whether they're their first race or third or fourth year in there. It was phenomenal. I love those kids. So
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know we definitely went long tonight, Chris. We had a lot to
Yeah.
talk about, and I think we could have kept it about that hour 15, but I thought it was so important to have Dan on tonight with those rides coming up, to get that on there, the annual and stuff coming up, and it affects so many people and the opportunity that we have as a group, and what we do to be able to make an impact on the veterans and both rides. I thought it was just well worth it. So I apologize to anybody being a little late. I know that's not my cup of tea lately. I've been on time.
Yeah.
So
Thursday, I guess. But
Well,
anyway,
we worked through some technical issues tonight.
yeah, you got me set up there. Hey, before we go, I just so you guys feel young and all that, I probably should give a little shout out. I'm gonna have to. I didn't put on my Hawkeye hat, but I'm gonna have to go over there here this tomorrow. Head over. Adam's gonna graduate from college. Just so you guys feel a little older. The kid was 0 when this started. This, this just to make you feel a little older. Catch up with your bodies and so forth. But thanks for having me on tonight, guys. I got to go figure out some clothes to wear, I guess.
Just wear a race shirt.
Well, I thought about it. I was going to have Chris custom make me a shirt, try to embarrass him a little bit. But yeah. All right,
I'm proud
guys.
of you.
Thank you.
Proud of you, Paul, going to Iowa. I know you're a big Hawkeye fan, and I think
tough.
it's really cool. And tell Adam we're all proud of him. So
yeah. Yep. We'll do. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Paul.
Thanks.
Bye now.
So I just I'm keeping Dan's kind of information at the bottom here of the page, just the importance to reach out to him. Such a good 2 events back to back. I know veterans, that those guys would appreciate that. So I think you and I keep pushing this on for the next couple podcasts to see how many can join.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's see what we can do.
What's the other thing? Points. It's been a hectic week. Generally in the past, when I do the championship points, it's always been after round 3. If you guys give me a little bit, we got several events going on starting tomorrow throughout the weekend. So I will try to get points done for those that are waiting anxiously, get those done next week for everybody. I'll throw them up on the website.
Well, I don't think anybody that's complaining about points knows how much you're doing behind the scenes. And, you've had a lot of extra
Yeah.
stuff thrown at you, unfortunately, this year that you hadn't planned on. So I appreciate everything you're doing. Yeah, so we sure appreciate it, Chris, and everybody after this last weekend.
Wow.
It takes a lot of people to get that done. So thank you.
Yep. Not going to say anything about the weather this weekend because, you know, there is that thing that's going on Saturday night. Really would like to get to.
Let's throw that out there now too with the IATV HSS 7A car of Jack Anderson. Won his first heat race at 16 years old and had an oil filter seal blew out right before the feature started, so he didn't get a race that. But I'm gonna throw it out there too. If anybody would like to go, Chris and I usually meet at my house out here. Someone needs directions or a pinpoint, be more than happy to get it. Would like to go with us. We'll be going down there, go to the pits afterwards, see the cars, see Jack and his family. The kids, he's really good with the kids, so would love to have some of the kids going. But just let us know if you're interested in going. Get a hold of Chris or myself, and we'll make sure that you know where we're going if you can't meet us here. And we might even tear up some slideways before we get there.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, everybody, thank you guys for joining us and sticking with us.
Yeah. Thank you.